Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to the BlackUSA.News Morning Show. My name is Donnie Glover, publisher of BlackUSA News, also publisher of BeMoreNews.com. We started BlackUSA News January 18th of this year in the middle of COVID. It was our attempt to go national. And let me say, when it comes to national, I couldn't bring you a more national guest than this gentleman right here, the one, the only, drum roll, Mario. Good
What's
morning.
up, family? Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing, man? You doing good, Donnie?
Well, no, I need to get some fly glasses like
that. Come on, man. You know, I've been working hard on these sponsorships, man. I got these sponsorship deals I'll be cooking up, you know. I got this.
How do you do that?
You know, what you got to do to get brands to sponsor what you're doing is the first thing is try to figure out what alignment do you have with a particular company. So in my case, for that, I have to wear glasses. So I was like, well, if I'm on TV a lot and I'm on video and podcasts, why shouldn't I get paid by somebody to wear glasses that I like? And so I then contact the company cold. I just contact them cold. I'll do research on them. And then I'll see which brands I really want to try to like associate myself with that I think is like cost effective that other people could benefit from. I don't want to wear a $400 pair of glasses and then people that are watching me can't afford them or think that they're too pricey. So the glasses that I'm wearing are only $32.95 with prescription. So I use Zenni, Zenni.com. So I look for partners that I think my following is going to benefit from. And then I just hit them with a cold call. I just either call them up, find their email on social media. You can use a website like there's one called Hunter, HUNTER.io. You plug in their name and they'll spit back their most probable email address for them. So that's how I kind of find and uncover these email addresses for people that are working in marketing or PR at these firms. Contact them, say, yo, my name is Mario. I do these things. I really would like to talk about having a conversation about maybe using your product in my videos. And then it just starts from there. Most times they say no, but you know, you keep pushing.
Have you ever thought do you do master classes?
Yes, I actually have one coming out on just this whole thing, because here's the thing, Donnie. So many, especially people of color, especially my people, we have been conditioned. Most people have been conditioned to get their money for their business or their ideas. Even if you don't want to become an entrepreneur, but maybe you want to do an event and you only need like $7,000 or $10,000 to pull that event off, maybe even $5,000 to pull that event off. Most people don't know that what we're taught is that we can get money basically four ways. You can pull it out of your own savings. You can go to a bank for a loan. You can get it from family and friends or crowdfunding, or you can get it from a venture capitalist. Those are usually the four ways that we're taught to get funding. We use the cheat code. The cheat code is the fifth way. The fifth way is to go for sponsorship dollars. And the reason why is because sponsorship dollars from brands, from marketing brands, from PR agencies, from ad agencies, they have to spend this money anyway. So all you got to do is prove that you can give them an audience that they want to reach and be effective with that. And then guess what? I got no interest. I got no debt to pay back. I got nobody looking for me, no family member calling me up looking for my money, and no VCs are taking equity out of my business. So over the last 10 years, Nicole and I, CEO Nicole, we call her, have built our company based off of brand sponsorships. So for now, we're like experts in knowing how to actually find the right people, make the pitch, deal with objections, overcome those no's, get to the yes, do a fulfillment report, ask for the future business, and get multi-year deals. So that's what we're teaching right now. We got a course coming out in about 4 weeks, 6 modules on how you can actually get sponsorship money to fund your business or your ideas to get new capital.
Please let me know about that, because I want to attend it. And let me just say for the audience, that was not a pre-planned question. I walked right into that. You are doing a master class. Let me ask you this silly question. Have you ever done a TED Talk?
Not yet, man. Not yet. I don't know why. I haven't pursued it. And I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just kind of waiting for the right time and the right talk to give. I don't really know.
You are TED Talk. From my perspective, when I think of technology, I think of you. So if TED Talk doesn't have Mario, they are not official. I don't care who they've had. They haven't had Mario. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to work on the sales pitch team if there's a way I can help, because you're already national. Somebody has to help them catch up. I've seen people do TED Talks and it's like, really?
Yeah. No, I know. And because you're a walking TED Talk too. I mean, look, this is an interview that I've been looking forward to, because as much as you have always admired where I am, or you're saying things like, it's not official if Mario isn't on it. I feel the same way about Donnie. I mean, because case in point, like, and we've talked about this before, like you got that book out, you know what I'm saying? And that charged me up. When I saw you get the book, I got it up on the shelf. When I saw you get the book out, I was like, oh, damn, Donnie done charged me up, man. That's how we do. Iron sharpens iron, man. So I appreciate what you're saying. But very rarely, I bet you never had a guest that actually read an excerpt from the book,
I had a lady on this show, and she'll chime in shortly. You'll see, all the way in Hungary.
What?
Her name is Andy Havas, and she'll be on here shortly.
Okay.
And she I did not pay this lady. She'll put up excerpts from a book with a graphic of the book cover and just post it. Yes.
Wow, that's powerful. I can see why. I mean, my favorite part in this book is on page 44. For those that don't have it, but go read page 44, because you talk about how showing up is 90% of the battle. And what I really got from this piece, but pushed me even further, was like, you never know who might not show up, like the first string guy, for example. And while he's busy thinking he can rest on his laurels, you can show up, step in, show out, and replace him. When you show up, you better position yourself for upcoming opportunities, but you won't get the shot if you don't show up. And then you talk really vulnerable, how about for a long time you weren't showing up properly, and how you had to come to your own understanding, your own weakness about that, and then how to strengthen that piece up. But that piece right there always reminds me, man, because when we show up, we get an opportunity. We're out here, everybody's working hard on their dreams, on their goals, and when you get that shot, you gotta show up. And so that drives me consistently. Like when I'm doing this course, or whether I'm doing something on the Today Show, or whether I'm trying to like push our own company to do something, I'm constantly thinking about that moment where you're like, man, are you showing up 100%? Because otherwise, like, maybe you should take a break, or like maybe you should pivot or not do that thing right now if you can't show up 100%.
I did a story, I don't know if you saw it, about you, David Miller, Sophia Robb. I know you know David Miller. Sophia Robb is a contractor who is fluent in Arabic. He can negotiate contracts in Arabic and has done so, including in the Middle East.
Okay.
He's cousins to the boxer Hasim Rahman. He comes out of the Kaysan family. A lot of people in Baltimore know Israel Kaysan from I Can't, We Can.
Yep.
Sophia is, so I did a story on the three of you, and the reason is all three of you get a lot of love elsewhere outside of Baltimore, nationally, internationally, and no slight on Baltimore, but you three have no problem traveling elsewhere. And it made me, as you were talking, it made me think of when you would get on the train. I think you told me like 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the Today Show or something like that. It was very early.
Right.
And I've been on that 4 o'clock train. It's an ungodly hour.
Yeah, bro.
But I just remember how determined you were and how hungry you were. And then you told me about Channel 2, how you pitched Drew Barry to do your own show. And you said, I won't charge you anything. And it made me think of the first newspaper gig I had to volunteer, and they said, you'll get the job, but you got to volunteer first.
Okay. Yep.
So my daughter comes to me and she says, this lady wants me to volunteer before I get the job. And I told her what I told her, yeah, of course, do it.
Right.
Do our young people get it?
No, because instant gratification has taken over. And the game on social media is that we value the prize over the process. And so when you value the prize over the process, or when you promote the prize over the process, you get conditioned to seeing the end result. And when you get conditioned to seeing the end result, you don't understand the recipe that it takes to get there. And so to a lot of kids, credit, it's not their fault. We got to do as much as we can to expose them and teach them, but they're really dealing in a society and in a culture where, that instant gratification happens so fast, and they can just scroll through and just see a lot of people shining and flexing so quick that they think that there's some kind of shortcut or some other way to get it, and not understanding that person, it's very rarely that somebody just lucked up on something. They've usually been in it 5, 7, 10 years before something actually really pops. And so not knowing that it takes that type of determination, that type of consistency, that type of commitment, or that they work somewhere for free in order to try to get an exchange. I don't care. Look, I don't mind somebody taking advantage of me as long as I know what I'm getting out of it. And I think a lot of times that may have gone over people's heads, because you're like, what do you mean? Why would you want to let somebody take advantage of you? Did you hear the second part? If I know what I'm getting out of it. So when I went to Drew Barry at the GM, shout out to Drew Barry, who was a general manager at Channel 2 at the time, ABC WMAR. And I went to him and I said, look, I'm doing this radio show with WEAA 88.9. Shout out to Sandy Mallory and Maxie Jackson, who was the GM at that time, for bringing me in. And I said, I want to do this thing on TV, and I'm not going to charge. I don't want to charge you for it. He said, well, why would you do that? I said, because I want to get the experience. And I got something that's working on radio, and I can help your viewers understand how to use technology. And you don't have anybody on air that does that. So let me come in for free. And he was like, okay, we'll put you on the news. You'll do something with Jamie Costello every Thursday. We'll call it Tech Tip Thursdays. And you'll do this thing during the week where you'll shoot like a little half-hour show that we'll give you a little Saturday slot. He used me. And then they went and sold advertising. They got sponsors for my Tech Tip Thursday segment. That ad sales team went and sold that segment. I didn't see any of that money. I didn't want to see that money. I wanted to learn how to perform in a live studio operation, because I had dreams and visions that I was going to go to New York or LA because I wanted to go to the big leagues in terms of TV. Well, how was I going to get it? I didn't get it from college, because I got chased out of my college experience by a local thug in West Virginia State who chased me out of college by shooting at me. So my college dreams got derailed real easy, real quick. So I had to try to figure out how to fend for myself. And so I had to try to create my own education. And so from that point, I started really doing my own thing, and was just like, okay, how do I get these skills that I need? And so I think to answer your question directly, young people, hear me. As long as you know why you're getting into something and what you're getting out of it, do it for free. Here's the bigger picture. You don't want to have obstacles to what your goals are. So what you want to do is you want to remove any objection from somebody else. And I know some people aren't in a position. Look, I had a full-time job while I was doing that for free. So I get it. Like, if you need to get money and get paid, then my first thing would be try to get a job, something close to the vision or the dream that you have for yourself. I don't care if they're paying you minimum wage. If it's in the industry that you want to be in, take that industry wage hit and get the experience. You better ask questions, meet with people. You better be putting your heads in rooms where you're like, why is he in here? Like, you need to be entering yourself into spaces where you are pushing yourself to get what you need to get out of it, because it's only a pit stop on your journey. And I think when you can understand that certain moments are pit stops, then you get the big picture. See, a lot of kids just don't have the vision and the clarity because they either haven't had the exposure, or someone hasn't shown them, like, okay, young man or young lady, I see where you're trying to go. Let's reverse engineer that a few steps down. Do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, and you'll get there. And so I just would say, look, I know y'all are impatient. I get it. I'm not trying to fight your impatience. It's already within you. What I'm trying to do is just get you to be more clear and to look at people like myself, look at people like Donnie, look at other people that you can look at and go research them. The next time you see somebody popping on Instagram, go research them. Don't just assume they got it. Go find out how long it took them. Go watch videos. Go research their name. Go look up stories about them. Try to backtrack how long they've been in the game. And I guarantee you'll find that they've been doing it 5+ years.
Is there anyone in technology that you want to meet?
In technology?
Like Elon Musk?
No, the only other, that's a good one, brother. I haven't really thought about it from a technology standpoint because, and this might come as a shock to you. I got put on in a lot of places because I was a black man that was talking about technology. So that meant that I was almost like a unicorn to some extent. Like I was different because you didn't just have a lot of that. Didn't mean you didn't have black people in tech. You had a lot of black people in tech, but black people in tech talking about tech on TV in media in a way that people could understand, that was new for media people to kind of see. So that became a thing to kind of give me an entry point. And I love technology, but I was really a teacher and an educator at heart. So the reason why I can't answer that question so simply anymore for you is because I've evolved beyond tech. So now I'm bigger into entrepreneurship. Now I'm bigger into mindfulness and inspiration and how to balance hustle and mindfulness at the same time. Now I'm bigger into building your personal brand. I'm bigger into really helping you understand how to drive your business to get profits, to get sales, so that you can create that legacy wealth that you're trying to create for yourself. So to me now, my expertise has shifted. I still do tech. It's still a part of me, will always be. But now that you got Google and kids that were 5 when I was teaching adults what tech is, they're now like 10 and 15. So the parents now have their own built-in help desk to ask questions. So now I've moved on to like, where are the biggest needs now? Well, the biggest needs now, in my opinion, is black and brown people owning their own products, their own services, their own intellectual property, and understanding how they can get money from sources that they don't normally look at to fund those ideas. And so I would say, my idols or people that I would love to connect with, they may come as a shock. Some people, I don't even know if you know Toby and Wigway. I don't even know if that name.
These hands.
So that's a brother right there. That's like, I just love his grind. Come on, man. Don't. There you go. So people like, look, and I guess maybe, I've had the pleasure of meeting, and I've worked with Damon John. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mark Cuban. I've been invited, and I'm not trying to flex, but I've been invited on Richard Branson's private island with 30 other entrepreneurs. I was the only one of color. And so I've had some access to people. You know who I haven't met that I would like to sit down with still today is probably Bill Gates. That's a techie that I would still probably love to meet with and sit down with.
Well, okay, he's only worth what, $1 billion? Okay,
but my job right now, to be quite honest with you, is to change the face of the next Bill Gates and the next Mark Zuckerberg. That's what I'm working towar's. Like that bigger goal of where that's coming from next, because that's got to shift, and it is shifting.
So we got a lawyer with us who's going to chime in. I don't know if you know Bob DeShields. You know attorney Robert DeShields?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good morning. How are you, Mario?
Good morning, sir. How you doing? Good to see you.
Not bad for an old man, I guess.
You look good. You look good.
Thank you.
So Mario, out there in California, a couple of years ago, over the past 5 years, I've learned of this Afro tech movement.
Mm-hmm.
Do they know you?
They know me, but again, they know me from a different perspective. They don't know me from the guy that was like the dude that you saw on CNN, HLN, Today Show. They don't know that side. They know me more from the inspiration, motivation, and entrepreneurial side. But it doesn't matter. They know me, we know each other, and they're doing phenomenal work. That's exactly the right type of people I'm talking about. It's going to change what the future of those leaders in technology look like.
Okay, so Mr. Bob, we were talking with Mario about his transition from tech to the next level. We have talked about gaining sponsorships. Any questions from you, attorney?
I haven't heard enough to get whatever those passion juices are flowing yet. But let me just say that I did hear Mario talk about putting a different face, and I assume he means by that a different color face. And I assume to be more specific, he means black face. Yep. on Bill Gates. And I would simply add that while I have no objection to that for me, the ultimate goal is to see what effect, if any, this activity has upon the employment of black people at an appropriate salary to be able to support their families. Because I think as a people, perhaps even as a nation, we got to change our notion of what what business means, or let me put it another way. We got to change our perception of what the importance of business is, which is for years, whether you talk about the Fortune 500 or whoever else, we've measured success by the life and times of the owners, by how rich Bill Gates is, or how rich Oprah is, or how rich Eddie Brown is, or anybody. That means absolutely nothing to me. What I want to know is how many people, Black people, do they employ, and are they paying them enough to support their families? If they're not, if the answer to either one of those is no, then I could care less about the color or person or whoever's got the $1 billion.
Yeah, what you're talking about is individual wealth and, being focused on self-preservation and not being focused on community building and legacy wealth and
Right.
impacting the community. And what we find mostly in tech organizations, the reason why hiring has been such a problem for the most part is because they hire who looks like them. So
Right.
the goal should be that as long as we get more people of color that are of mindfulness and are aware of what their position is, bigger than their own paycheck, bigger than the VC buyout, bigger than the stock market. As long as we know, hey, make money, do your thing, build your business, but make sure that you never forget and don't lose the fact that now we need you to hire more people that look like you, just like other people would hire and people that look like them, and to kind of equal that out for sure.
But,
So do you?
go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Donnie.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Does diversity and inclusion, is that the new buzz term? Does that attract you at all, Mario?
Doesn't attract me at all. It's a label that's being placed on things to try to put in the patchwork, unless it only attracts me when I see the work that's being followed up by it. But when it's, in most cases, you still have a lot of companies and organizations that are using it as a label and are using as a way to stay safe so that they don't become an issue or a target. But if you talk to people like Walt Gears and others that are in the ad agency world, he's been putting ad agencies on blast that have said that they were going to invest in D&I, said they were going to do certain things after George Floyd and a bunch of other things. And a lot of the hiring still hasn't been done. You still don't see people in SVP positions or C-level positions that are happening. Or even, not even just that, even just spending the money, spending particular budgets in appropriate spaces where people of color are running those businesses and other ad agencies. So there's still a tremendous amount of work. And I don't want anyone getting confused if they say that someone has a D&I label on them or that they've invested in diversity and inclusion, that automatically gives them some kind of pass. We still have to hold everybody accountable, and we got to keep the pressure on even more so now, because it's easier for people to put those labels up and to make it seem like they're doing something. But when you got I know organizations that are actually running D&I, and the people that are running D&I aren't from a diverse background or from an inclusionary background. So even that alone just shocks me and confuses the heck out of me that unless you're a super understanding and super empathetic and have some kind of proof of receipts that you understand, I don't even understand how that nuance gets left out. So there's a lot of work to still be done, in my opinion.
As they say in church, I believe that we are on one accord. From what you're saying, first of all, the whole D&I or diversity and inclusion, I guess that's what it
Froze up on me, Bob. Mario, you're quite the radical. I didn't know this.
Hey, man, and people let me into spaces because I figured out how to maneuver. And so I'm a safe cat to have around, but at the same time, it's important to understand why I'm a safe cat to have around. I'm safe because, I know what it is I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to get that information and I'm trying to bring it back to people that need it.
I saw a video over the weekend of some Nigerian entrepreneurs. They were pushing this Nigerian martial arts called Dambe, D-A-M-B-E. But
Okay.
What my question to you is Africa on your radar? I'm seeing technology pick up there. Of course, they have musicians, they have movies, They have, a lot of the things that we enjoy here. Do you see Africa at all as part of the equation?
and entrepreneurship. Like, that's really where I'm at right now, is really helping people understand entrepreneurship and taking those side hustles and making it into your main hustle, or helping you get that extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month that you're looking to earn, or whatever that goal may be for yourself to empower yourself. But entrepreneurship is big in Africa, and no, I have not been there yet. It's on the radar. We were actually supposed to be doing a trip right before COVID, and that didn't work out. So those plans got scrapped. But
where were you going?
So here's a great thing, right? We were going to go to. So, do you know Michelle? Do you know comedian Michelle from Baltimore?
Yeah, Michelle.
You know my girl.
Yeah.
You know
Lamar Darnell Shields' wife.
Yeah. So that's my people, right? So she does a program where she takes young girls over to Africa. I believe it's every year. It escapes me right now. I want to give a shout out for the name of her program. I wanted to give a shout out for the name of her program right now.
I'll look it up. Keep going.
Damn. But anyway, we were looking at going to Africa, but I had not spent the time to figure out exactly. I had talked to a few friends of mine that had been doing some business there, and I was just like getting ready to talk to them about where do we need to spend our time. You've been to Africa several times, right?
I've been to Africa, went to Ethiopia, Tanzania, and I've also been to Jordan, Middle East.
So out of those three, where would you say that you saw the most entrepreneurial type of activity or tech activity happening?
From what I know, West Africa, South Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Southern Africa. We have a Baltimore homeboy who moved to Zambia, and that's down in Southern Africa. He was straight out of East Baltimore, and he set up shop. He started a basketball league, among other things there.
Is that right?
Yeah. Jamal Adkins, Adkins.
Okay.
I would have to do some research, but in my mind,
that's where we were.
Africa, because West Africa is close to Europe, close to the US, and then South Africa, I mean, one, they got the money.
Right.
Two,
no doubt about that.
Well, I mean, let's not forget in South Africa, diamonds, gold. I know Elon Musk is from there, but I'm talking about the indigenous resources. There's so many natural resources right there in the ground.
Right.
I don't know that we need anybody for that.
Yeah, no. So, and that's where basically the reason why I couldn't answer your question straight up is because honestly, we had not picked where we were going. We were just at that point of research and planning, knowing that we need to get there. We've been to other places, other countries, and saw other things that are happening. But I want to get there. I've been to Seoul, Korea, been to Switzerland and some other places to see what they were doing from an innovative perspective in technology. Seoul, Korea blew me away, by the way. They are 10 to 12 years ahead of everything that we say that we're fast and furious in. They're already doing it 10 years ahead of us. But I'm anxious to get to Africa because I have a lot of friends that have been telling me about some of the investments that they've been making, and I want to get over there to really see, but I haven't picked the place just yet. If anybody knows, hit me in the everybody knows, hit me in the comments or shoot me a DM, because we definitely going to hit those planes come 2020, 2022. We definitely hitting the planes.
I gotta say, what I love about the Nigerians is their hustle. They are like the Jamaicans of Africa, from my experience. Yeah. Now, sometimes Nigerians can be overly aggressive. And I'm from North Avenue. I don't care where you're from.
Right. You can't be.
Yeah. But what I love,
I'm Fulton Avenue, so what's up.
But the Nigerians, I love their hustle, their determination. I've never been to Lagos, but I know it makes New York City look a little small. And I know you will get got there if you go there with your brand new Nike suit on, all white. Somebody gonna get got before you get to the end of the block. At the same time, it's just an incredible hustle there. Mr. Bob, any thoughts on Africa?
Well, according to Ancestry.com, I'm 36% Nigerian. I accept that because that's what they say. I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad to know that I have roots somewhere that I can get to. I have a number of Nigerian clients. In fact, I'm sitting in a building now owned by one of my Nigerian clients. Now, I think the focus, I would like to see focus in agriculture. And it goes back to a comment that you made, Donnie, about the natural resources. It would surprise you if you knew that 60% of all the food that's consumed in Africa is imported. Now you say, why in the world is that? Because unfortunately, in some countries, and I'm not talking about, and some countries are now focusing on what I call a human reclamation project. In Ghana, for example, they're now making offers to Ghanaians who've left the country thinking that if they wind up in New York with a briefcase, they'll make a lot of money, and have abandoned the tradition of farming. Now, if you control what people eat, you control how long they live, you control what diseases they become subject to, you control how they think, and you control a lot about. In fact, quite frankly, if you control what a person eats, you control their lives across so many platforms. All right. So now the Ghanaians have realized that they've lost most of their talent to people who think that their future should be in the briefcase, when in reality they're trying to get them back into the country to pursue agricultural pursuits and get back to the land and the ground from which we emerged. I think there's a book called Farming While Black. It's written by a sister in upstate New York who's been proposed, and of course there's Black Agricultural Farmers Association in Virginia and so forth. So that's that. So what I would like to see, quite frankly, if I were to paint a picture of the connection, I would like to see Africa has the natural resources. Some places in this country have the technology. I would like to see us on both sides, and I would like to see us merge those two in a Pan-African approach, so that the Black folks in this country are tied to Black folks in that country in a way that sustains both through what we eat and how we produce. I would love to see. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, but much of what I say never will. I'm not. This is for my grandkids I'm talking about. So that's what I would like to say. Now, the other thing on technology, Donnie, I got to say this to you. The role of technology ultimately is to reduce what? Labor expense. Okay, we got to look at jobs, because reducing expense is not the be all and end all. The goal of life is not to get everything the cheapest you can. There are relationships that are more important than money. So if you tell me you're pursuing technology and you're going to put 10 Black folk out of jobs, unless you got 10 jobs for those Black folk that can go in immediately, not after they've been retrained, because they ain't going to live long. The family can't sustain themselves long enough for retraining. They got to eat every day. Every day. They got to have some place to sleep every day. They got to have clothes every day. So don't tell me you're going to train them and we'll reimagine their existence 6 months from now. No. If you take 6, make 6. If you take 6, make 6. That ought to be our objective. That's what I think.
Well, you got to take that one, Mario.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was hot. That was some heat right there. I'll leave that one. There's nothing else to put on top of that. Everything that needed to be said was done.
Okay. Any thoughts on what about South America?
I mean, look, I think ultimately what I'm hearing from you is that you're talking about opportunity and where new investments and opportunity is coming from. And so whether you're talking about Brazil, whether you're talking about India, whether you're talking about South America or Africa, there are a lot of opportunities. The globe is getting smaller. One of the things that another promise of technology is not just to replace people. So I would probably also maybe bring this other position to technology, is that it also makes the world smaller, and it also helps us to innovate and create faster. And so with that being said, when we can start to begin to work on ourselves, to think beyond local, to think beyond regional, to think beyond national, we can start to think international. And I think a lot of times, we suffer from a crabs in the barrel mentality. Let's just say what it is. Like, we suffer. We've been conditioned, and we have been put into a situation over hundreds of years that has kind of permeated that kind of thinking, so that we can't even really see how we can help others get there, because we need to get there for ourselves. So self-preservation becomes this thing that drives our focus. And you think that if someone else is eating some of your cake, that there's not enough cake. The problem is, too often we're looking at small pieces of cake We're not understanding that cake is being made here, cake is being made in overseas, cake is being made across the globe, different cake is being done different ways, and that we can all partake in some of that. But it's hard to tell somebody that when they're used to 3 zip codes being their complete world. And so I think when we get down to it, exposure is key. All of us have had the blessing of having some kind of exposure. We've seen other countries. We've been to other places. We know what the economic advancements are. But how do you know that when you live in a 5-block radius and that's your home? And that's all you know. That's all the world you know. So really helping people understand what's bigger is you have to start, like, I think it all starts with the education of exposure, because once you start to expose people to the game and to the opportunities, then you can leave it up to them to start to figuring out, well, if that's something I want to go after, and if so, how do I want to go after it? So what I'm hearing from you, Donnie, is really a great discussion that I would like, people to think about is, how can your business, your idea, your passion, where is it being done overseas? Where are the opportunities? Have you done research? Have you plugged into Google your business name and Brazil? Have you plugged into Google your business name and or your business industry in Zimbabwe, and just looked at the news and the information and the things that are happening in other countries around your industry? Are you getting informed about the industry or the passion that you have beyond your local world, your regional world, national, and international world?
Well, I would add. Hold tight, Mr. Bob. We got a lady. I'm sorry.
No, I would just add to that very quickly. When you Google, try to find out who makes the decisions in those areas that affect your business. Because in the final analysis, the ultimate question is who decides who decides.
So Mario, I told you, this is Andy Havas. She is from Hungary. And yes, if you would show her the book, Mario says he's a big fan of page 44.
Page 44.
Andy, but Andy, I was telling them about how you promote the book. What page, Andy, do you want us to go to? And thank you for all of your support. We selling books here too, Mr. Bob. Don't get mad. And I'm pleased to tell you, just last night, about 1 o'clock this morning, I copyrighted my second book. So we're official.
Wow. Hey, man, congrats on that. Seriously.
Praise God.
On that. No, because that's independent. That's something that you own. That's a product that you've developed. And, I think there's a lot of opportunity. There are a lot of people that are missing out on, being able to create their own IP. For example, you heard me at the top of the show talk about the fact that I'm creating my first digital course. And my first digital course is on how to get sponsorship money, how to get money from brands to give you capital into your business. So how to make that alignment with what a brand needs, with what your audience is, or what products and services you have, but how you can access that funding source, because you don't have to pay anybody back. You don't take out, no one takes any equity, and you don't have to worry about any interest rates or any loans. So my bigger point is this: so many people could be developing courses, and that is a piece of intellectual property, much like you have a course inside of this book. There's no doubt. You just probably haven't been exposed to how you can actually create your own digital course, how you're going to market it, what price would you put on it. But Donnie, once you create a course once, you can sit down, know that you put it out there, and you can now get what we call mailbox money, which is basically that money that comes to you while you're sleeping. And so these are the types of, this is where the economy is going. The fact that individuals now have the power to create from their own expertise. Maybe you have a recipe in your home right now. You got mama's recipe and you know it's the bomb for whatever it is that you cook. Well, you can keep it to yourself, or you could try to turn it into a product. You could try to turn it into a sauce. You could try to put it on the grocery store shelves, or you could create a course on how to actually make this particular food and then sell that course in perpetuity. And so now not only do you get the income from that, but as long as that course keeps making money, your family gets income from that. And that's one course. And that's just one product, one idea. So I think a lot of people underestimate. We look for jobs, we look for careers, and we forget that we actually have our own expertise that we've created and built over these jobs and over these years that we could actually turn into our own personal brand, and that can turn into products and services that we can sell in a marketplace that's actually looking for that. Pre-COVID, online education was on its way up, but it was a slow crawl. Post-COVID, everybody's learning online. So the billion-dollar industry, the cat's out of the bag, and we need to be entering into it.
Are HBCUs benefiting with online courses? I'm seeing people take Harvard courses. I'm seeing all of these, and I forgot the term for white universities. But
traditionally white, we get to be something historical, which means it could change any day, and they get to be traditional. I'm still trying to understand that. I don't use the term HBCU because, however well intended it may be, I'm just superstitious and I'm scared. I'm scared if they take something else away from it, like everything else that's gone that we gave up and willingly in many instances, we ain't never going to get it back. So no, it's a black school and it's going to stay black as long as I gotta have anything to do with it. So let's drop that H crap. Now the issue is with respect to, the governor just signed the $577 million, whatever it is, the settlement of the coalition lawsuit. And so the question is, and I got a question for Mario myself, but the question is, will black schools, black colleges and universities benefit from the spirit, entrepreneurial spirit, and the knowledge that obviously Mario has acquired over the years, as well as this new funding source, this new round of money that's coming into the black schools? And I had a conversation with some representatives of Coppin just yesterday or the day before, I forget it was. They said, well, what can we do with this money? They're asking me, what can we do with this money? What would you? So I said, the only way I can answer that is to tell you what I think I would do if I had if it was mine. I would look at the following. Every black kid in the city of Baltimore that is capable and has a desire and for whom college is the right choice, I would make that my mission to get them in that school. I don't care what it means. If it means remedial, if it means they got to stay there 5 years, then I create a 5-year program. If they need 6 years, then I give them 6 years, because I know that investment, that extra year or that extra 4 years or whatever it may take, is going to better prepare them than hustling them out in 4 years with a bunch of college debt that they can't even get a job to repay.
So what's your question to Mario?
Mario, have you written your book?
Not yet.
Because here's the deal. And I'm gonna borrow the phrase. Here's the deal. William Barr said one thing and one thing only that I think was really, really important to us during his term as Attorney General. He said the winners write the history. The winners write the history.
Powerful.
Right? You got to declare yourself a winner, and the only way I'm gonna know that is if you write your history.
Yep.
So my question is, have you written your book?
I haven't written that book. That book is in the process of being built by the actions I'm taking every day and building that legacy and building that commitment. But trust that it's coming. Trust that it's coming.
Mario, we can get you a book together in 30 days because you already have the material on your computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't have to put everything. Do not put everything in the first book.
Good advice.
You already have it on your computer. And I will help you if you want. I know you don't need my help, but you can have a book on the market within 30 days. You, Mario.
I believe it. I think, and part of the reason has been when we look at the business model of books in the industry, you got two choices, right? You can go independent or you can go with a publisher. The only reason to go with a publisher, in my opinion, at this point, after doing all the research and talking to people, like, my buddy is the editor-in-chief over at Entrepreneur Magazine. He just sent me his manuscript for a book, that's his third book that he's got coming out. And he's like, Mario, here's the whole process. Here's the whole game plan. Like, you can follow this to a T for your book. And I asked him this question. I said, should I just go independent, man? I got my own audience. I got a following. I got a this and a that. And he says, yeah. He said, but you got credibility. You got marketplace credibility. You got 2 Emmy Awards. You've built up your business over the years. You should probably go with a publisher because the media still respects the publisher. Doesn't mean they don't respect the independent publisher. Just means it might be a little bit harder for the independent publisher to break through on that traditional media. So then the question becomes, do you even need that traditional media for your audience or not? And then you make a decision based off of that. So I haven't made a decision yet as to whether or not I'm just going to go independent or if I'm really going to go through a process of trying to work with a publisher. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to have to do all the work anyway. Let's not kid around. The publisher doesn't make anything really happen for me other than just putting some names. Maybe they get a few other retail spaces where the book can be available. But other than that, all the marketing, all the effort, all the work still going to come down to what Mario and his team does. And so I'm thinking, well, why would I give up a portion of my book if I got to do all the work anyway? So I'm making that decision. But right now we wanted to get the course out. and we just launched a new season of Never Settle, of the series that we do. We can't shoot it. We used to shoot it in Times Square in New York City, right at NASDAQ. I mean, we were in Wall Street shooting our show where CNBC shoots their show, right next door to GMA, and we still can't get into that studio because we had 50 people in studio audience, and we can't do it due to COVID. So we've had to kind of readjust like everybody else and figure out what we're going to do. So we've been really focused on getting the new season of the show out and then getting this course out. But the book is on the product roadmap. It's not getting off our radar, and it's going to happen within the next 12 to 24 months for sure.
There's so much. David Miller has been my coach, and our prayers go to David. His brother Peter went home. The homegoing ceremony. Peter went to New York with us when we did a Black Wall Street not long ago. So look, you got a new fan in Hungary, Andy Havas. I want you to look her up. She has you have a new fan in Hungary, and page 85.
Oh, I love that. Page 85. We carry on with the hope of making a positive difference in the world. Wow, that's powerful. Nice to meet you, Andy. That's powerful.
Mario, I can't wait to see. It's always been a joy to watch you. I remember when you told me that I needed to do my own website separate from everything else, one just for me. And then I watched you take Mario Armstrong and grow it and the snowball. You're going from technology and now expanding into entrepreneurship. We've talked about Africa. We've talked about Asia.
Yeah. You're making me
I
think
think
of
a
something.
movie would really solidify your presence. That's the only thing that makes sense. So we're going to do a movie. We're claiming a role in a movie. And I say Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, and they're going to have the technology guy with those white glasses for $32. You're going to get a movie spot. I see it.
All right. Let's do it. Hey, look, I love the affirmation that you're putting out there, Donnie. I'm a big believer in affirmations. People, you have to be able to see what it is that you want to. It has to be uncomfortable. What you see for yourself has to be uncomfortable. It has to stretch you. And so what Donnie is talking about is something that you didn't notice, man, but I've been thinking about commercials. I've been thinking about movie situations. In fact, I'm doing a book. I am doing a book right now. We are doing interviews, and I got this little book, this little reminder, which goes along with these shoes, by the way. So I'm a sneakerhead, as you can see. But the reason why is because I've created a system for me that works, and it's called tangible affirmations. So let me explain this in 30 seconds. I will write down the goal that I want to achieve, and then I will buy the reward that I'm going to be able to wear or use once I hit that goal. But I buy the reward.
What's that mean?
I buy the reward in advance. What that means is I can't wear these shoes, even though I love them, even though I want to. I can't until I hit this milestone of having this DJ book come out. So when that book gets released, I get to wear these shoes. Why is that important? Because it's not any longer just something I keep telling myself in my mind, which is important. It's not just that it's written down on paper, which it is, but it's in the room where I get dressed every single day that I see that those shoes mean something to me. And they mean something to a milestone that I have to hit. So I'm constantly reinforcing different ways of the affirmations that I'm trying to achieve. And that's helping me stay focused in those times when it's rough, in those times when I feel like giving up, in those times when I feel like quitting. It reminds me that I can hit those dreams, because I've had other shoes like this that I couldn't wear for 2 years. When I did our first episode of the first Never Settle show, when all the networks told us no to our show idea, and we kept pitching it, kept getting rejected. I'm on the Today Show at the time, and people are telling me no. So not that means I should have had a deal. It just means that I was in. And I was on 35th floor at Rockefeller Plaza. I'm in CBS broadcasting. I'm in these places making these pitches. And these agencies see me on TV to 5-6 million people every day, and they're still turning me down. Doesn't mean they were supposed to give me a deal. Just meant that they were removed from my vision. They didn't see what I saw. Took me 2 years to wear these pair of shoes because I couldn't wear them until the first episode happened. The first episode happened because we decided to do the show independently. And so now when I see these shoes, Donnie, these shoes remind me of the resilience that I went through. Not just a pair of Adidas that I throw on my feet. These represent 2 years of hard work to launching. So now when I see those sitting there and I feel down, I know I've made it before, and it may be tough, but I'm going to make it again. So basically it's resilience and affirmations that I've attached to these physical products, if you will, that I reward myself with, but I have to hit the milestone first. So I
I
will
get-
say the DJ book is coming, and it's not just going to be a book. I'm intending for that to be a Netflix animated series as well, because we're basically interviewing DJs. We're interviewing DJs like DJ D Nice and others, and we're getting their stories of what it was like for them to be a DJ and how they did it and how they did it at the highest level. We're going to do the book, but then we're capturing these audio and video interviews. Don't just write a book, people. Interview your subjects, capture that audio and video, and now we have the information to turn that into an animated series that we can sell to Netflix later.
Bob, you still there? I think you froze up again. I'm excited for you, bro. I'm so happy. I never know what you got coming next, but I know a movie is in the future. I know that.
Man, I love you for that, man, Donnie. I need that energy. I need people like you who vibe on that frequency to be saying that, because I really do want to get a shot at that, and I think I can do it.
So look, I've been watching the Spike Lee, Sam Jackson, Charles Barkley commercials for Capital One.
Oh, yeah, right.
They now, and forgive, I don't know they now got white guys in the commercials. Some of the sports announcers in their commercials now also. Mr. Bob, you had a question. Bob? Hey, Bob.
Is he back? I think he's still frozen.
Yeah, he's still frozen. But so when I see that series, I'm watching the evolution of it, because at first, as soon as you see it, you can't wait to see. They hide Spike, but Spike in there. Right. They got their synergy, but now they're growing it. And it came to me, if you do a commercial for Capital One, then certainly you want to appeal not just to Black people, but to all people. Yeah. And so now I see him incorporating the white guys.
I like where you're going with this.
Into the commercial. But I can see you in that commercial. I can see you in a similar commercial.
Yep. But I hear what you're saying. Like, and Capital One has been a sponsor for a lot of stuff that we've done. So you're even saying, like, hold on, Mario, have you even thought about really trying to insert yourself into something that's already taken place? Maybe you could be the person that pulls up the Capital One app on the phone, or does something that's kind of got like that technical piece to it that brings my specialty or my uniqueness or my expertise to a roundup of those types of people. That's a really great, insightful point, Donnie. That's why I love you, man, because you're always thinking insightfully and got that visionary thought.
Last night they had Larry Bird now in the commercial. Larry Bird.
Yep. Makes sense. March Madness time. Makes sense. Yep. So they bring in the basketball stars.
I think one of the most important things that I've heard Mario say is that he starts with the end in mind. You start with the end in mind. If you don't have a goal for where you're going, you ain't got no way in God's green earth of knowing when you get there.
Yes.
Okay. It's impossible.
That's right.
So, and there are fundamental questions of the universe that are the same no matter what. Who, what, when, where, how, and most importantly, why? Why? You got to take time to answer those questions in everything that we do. Yep. They don't go away. They're going to be there. And if you go too far without answering it, when the answer comes to you, it may be too late. It may be too late. So I again, as I repeat, and something I don't like to do, but people tell me I do it all the time, I'm going to repeat myself. We are on one accord. We are on one accord. What Donnie's program helps to do is for others to realize that, so that others have the strength to declare the victory that is already ours.
Mr. Bob,
go ahead.
I got to tell you this about Mario. The beauty of this cat is that in the 20 years or so I've known him, I've always admired him. Honestly, if you ask me, he's the only other journalist in Baltimore, and he is a journalist. He writes, he does radio, television, and the web. He's the only other cat, maybe Hassan Giordano to some extent, but this cat has taken his craft using those 4 media platforms. I remember when he would write for the Afro and the Baltimore Times, but what I'm getting to is he's never denied my calls. And when he was on the Today Show, you would figure, oh, Mario ain't got time. Well, did you call him? Did you reach out to him? And yes, he's busy. I remember him hit me one time. Look, we about to go on set. I'm gonna hit you when I come off. But he's never forgotten home, Mr. Bob. Never.
Yeah. 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 I appreciate you saying that, Donnie. And it's important for people to look, look, man, I grew up around Drew Hill Park. I grew up in North Fulton Avenue. My dad is known as Rocky Armstrong in Baltimore world. And, he went to Forest Park High School, was a really great basketball player and a basketball star, and tried to create, he did create Soft Tones in First Class, and that was his management company along with Ernie Donaldson's. It was Armstrong and Donaldson was a management company. So I've seen up close what it's like to pursue a dream. I also saw that dream not work out in the way he envisioned it working out for him, and how he had to be resilient and bounce back. And, he always just let me know, man, all you have is your word. And integrity is it at the end of the day. And so I just think that you can never get to a point when you've gotten to some kind of level in your head that you forget who needs you and who's relying on you and who you owe that to. And so I think that drives me. And I just think that, I've had to work on my ego. Look, it's not that I was like a arrogant idiot. It's just that I was super confident about certain things that I wanted to accomplish. And sometimes that could come off as a level of arrogance. So I had to kind of work on myself to be like, well, wait, that's not the kind of feeling I want people to have. How do I work on me? And so I think people have to do that inner work, which is what Bob is talking, Mr. Bob is talking about. He's talking about that inner work. It's not that it just comes natural to me. I work on being an empathetic human. I work on remembering where I came from. I work on making sure that I'm uplifting others and bringing them along for the ride. I work on trying to make sure that when we have hiring opportunities, that we're looking for people that look like us first to get them on board. Like, that is an active pursuit. Now, once you start doing it consistently, it just becomes habit and it becomes who you are. It becomes natural. But if you don't work on those things, or if they don't come natural to you and you don't work on those things, it won't happen. And that's why you see a lot of people kind of lost. And it's because they either don't know their why, or they really were never really rooted in the first place.
Right.
And so when they got to where they were, it just expanded who they are. Most people aren't bad people. When people get money, it just normally expands who they already are. When people get popularity, it just normally expands who they already were. And so I've worked on being real, because that's who I am. And that's why I feel like I can walk into certain neighborhoods and still be accepted, even with my little frail, thin body and curly hair. And I used to get punked a lot in high school. I used to get picked on a lot. But I know how to move in different spaces.
Mario, I never had either of those problems, either curly hair or whatever the other thing.
Being thin.
But let me, yeah. But let me say this. Let me state what I heard. Pardon?
I bet you had to fight.
Oh, I was a bodyguard back in the day.
Oh, wow. See,
but let me say this. What Mario just said, home is where you live, not where you are. Understand what I'm saying? Home is where you live. When Mario said you say he's never forgotten where he came from, that's because he lives where he is. There's a difference between home and where you're living. You're not always home at where you're living.
Wow.
That's not always your house.
Wow.
Remember now, we just travelers here. This is not our destination.
Right.
Okay. So I mean, again, the real benefit to the most benefit from this program is that it gives us an opportunity to express ourselves in a way that others may share and appreciate it. I said that, you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist. And I get all kinds of people say, oh, what do you mean by that? Donnie, you asked one of your guests last week, can a black person be a white supremacist? And he said no, right? He said no. You can't live where you are and say no to that question.
Right.
It's impossible, because look, if we can change, we've been here, everybody will tell you, we had 250 years of slavery. Okay, I got that. Today is today. Let's move forward. I understand it. Let's move on. We can't move forward unless we move together. That we really can't. And we have all that we need among ourselves. If we want to, for example, take over professional sports, we would take it over at the college level where 80% of the athletes in the Division A schools are black. Right. Guess where it came from? Black mothers gave birth to those kids. Black mothers changed their shitty diapers. Black mothers rushed them to the hospital when they got their arm caught in the car door. Black mothers did all of that. We're not operating a new form of slave farm where we raise them up and hand them off to a new market called the draft, whether it's NFL or NBA. Those are still our kids. If we don't teach them the way
that'll have to be his final word. I wanted to tell you that now that I've finished this book, I've taken a page out of your book, and I'm going to find me my treat to myself, and I've been holding off, is a crab cake. I need baseball size, softball size crab cake. That's my treat for getting this book completed last night. And I apologize to my friends because I had to kick some people to the curb. No disrespect, but I just need, I needed some downtime. Mr. Bob, we only asked him for an hour, and you know time is money because you like sending invoices. But any final thoughts?
Mr. Bob was on a roll there too, man. You were going with it too, man. So I have a quick question for Mr. Bob on that note before you finish that thought, because you got me thinking. We talk a lot about sports and the music and all of that, and those are industries where a lot of hope and a lot of breakthrough can happen for a lot of families. Don't get me wrong. But at the same, level, I'm trying to bring a different face to entrepreneurship, right? And even looking at people like LeBron, who you can see through his company with Maverick and the people that he has. Like, I want more kids to study, like how Uninterrupted has built their business brand, how LeBron has hired his homeboys, and that they are real executives, and that these young people have worked to build up these businesses. And my question to you is do you think that we have a real opportunity, as it does relate to sports, to start having the top high school ball players play at HBCUs to change the narrative of the college funding situation and how sports drive so much of the funding into colleges, and then using that as a platform to then spring up into the NBA or to the national leagues?
I absolutely do. I absolutely believe in that. And I absolutely believe that it's vital, but it's not new. It's just returning to who we are. When I went to Morgan State University, Black Morgan State University in 1966, there were guys playing football whose names you might remember. One, Willie Lanier. You might remember the Chiefs of middle linebacker. I could name a whole bunch, French Fuqua, all of Jim Kelly, all those guys came from Morgan. All those guys came from Morgan. All those guys started the same way I described. They came from black women. So yeah. And then more recently, I've read articles about black high school kids who are now asking the same issue, raising the same issue. Why shouldn't I go to a black school? Why, and you're right. If we can take advantage of that new sentiment, if we can make that grow, we can change the face.
Absolutely.
Of sports worldwide, not just in this country, worldwide.
Yeah, and Nicole just put the comment up. Thanks for that. Masterpiece son signed with the HBCU. Once we start, and see, that's where the power is, right? Because a kid that's coming out is gonna, they're being conditioned because we've been conditioned, right? Oh, you need to get to Duke. Oh, you need to get to University of North Carolina. You need to get to Villanova, right? And you're going to get that education and all that stuff. It's not that you can't get a quality education at HBCU. That's not what many people are asking. What they're saying is, but I don't really see HBCUs in the tournaments. I need to be seen. Will I still be seen if I'm at an HBCU? Well, if we start sending more players to the HBCU, you will get seen. But somebody's got to start making that step in order to then get a team built around them. They can't be the only one on the squad. They got to have 2 or 3 people on that squad. So as we start to do that more systematically and more focused, man, I can't wait for that, how that thing is going to shift the whole dynamics. Watch how people lose their mind once we start having the best high school players only going into HBCUs.
Mario, you got to go interview Deion Sanders. You got to meet Dion.
You're right.
I'll go. If you give me enough head time, I'll meet you there.
That'd be a great interview. That'd be a great interview. And it'd be unlike any other interview that's ever done, because I wouldn't just focus on sports, but I'd be focusing on the business, and I'd be focusing on the mindset, and I'd be focusing on how he's made decision making. See, a lot of people focus on results. What we need to start focusing on is how did they make the decision that they made? If we could start learning from people's decision points, if we could start learning from, here were the circumstances, here was the opportunity, here were the different choices, why did you choose this over that? And hear that breakdown from someone's mental state, man, there are so many learnings in the decision making that happens, and people just want to see the prize and see the end. Like I said earlier, we value the prize over the process, and if we can start to value the process, more people will get to their prize.
Well, I imagine Jackson State is going to need a whole new media department.
It starts there, man. That's what I'm saying. And that's what Mr. Bob is saying. Like, as the ecosystem is what you're referring to. Once you start making changes that are structurally different, it starts to have a compounding effect. And when you get that compounding effect, other people benefit from that. And it starts to bring up all the other industries and pieces that have been overlooked or neglected or have been shut out. Now you have to deal with that. It's like when I see a couple of people that were on the red carpet, and I'll see, certain actors and people that I've known in green rooms and hanging out, how they will beeline to a reporter or a journalist that's of color, because they know how important it is to make sure that they get a soundbite from that particular actor or that particular performer. It's those types of things that have to happen at scale that will start to shift. Because when the money shifts, oh boy, when the money shifts, as Mr. Bob knows, they're going to do everything in their mind to try to change up rules and everything else. But as long as we can stay structured and have our foundation and understand what the goal is, especially as it relates to maybe just this college situation and HBCUs and really starting to change that dynamic. Once that happens, man, it's game over.
Have you met Spike Lee or Eddie Murphy?
What's that?
Have you met Spike Lee or Eddie Murphy?
Spike Lee on multiple occasions. In fact, we did something with Capital One together in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. So I actually wrote a post about that. Y'all should go and check out this Instagram post. It was my first time meeting Spike Lee, and I knew I was going to meet him, and we were going to be on stage together speaking in Austin, Texas, to 500 HBCU students. So we knew that these HBCU students were coming to this Capital One cafe, and that we were going to be on stage talking from his perspective of making films and my perspective of making TV shows and making content. And man, we get on this stage together, and Donnie, check this out, man. I got to tell you this short story because this is just really important. I didn't know Spike, and everybody told me, man, Spike can be a character. You don't know what you're going to get when you meet Spike. Watch what you do. And I was like, man, getting all this noise from all these people. All I did the night before is I studied Spike Lee. I knew all the stuff. We already know about Do the Right Thing. We already know about his main movies. We already knew about that stuff. So what did I do? I studied to find stuff that most people might not talk about. What I ended up finding was his first college film that he did back in Morehouse.
School Days.
No.
Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing.
No. I'm talking about a black and white student film. The black and white student film that he did was based off of a character that, let me set the plot. It was set up. It was a black and white film. Guess what he did? He wanted to have a black movie director shoot a film that we keep losing Bob. Is that what happens?
No, I didn't know. I thought he was doing the movie.
No. I had a client just walk in. I had to let him see why I couldn't talk to him, so I was talking to you.
Okay, hold on. I want to pull up the exact story. Let me say this exactly so I can make it precise, because then I can do this really, really quick. But this is a really interesting tale. Here it is. All right. So, all right. So here's what happened. I spent all night researching him. I knew we would both be on stage together, and so many people told me that he was hard to read. So I did the opposite. Instead of trying to read him, I researched him. Number two, I had patience. In the green room, we shook hands, and he went right back to his phone call and was writing some notes. He was speaking to someone about his Netflix show and writing down some ideas. I wanted to get to know him more and knew we had limited time before we hit the stage, but the timing would be off if I inserted myself abruptly, so I waited and it paid off. Number 3, say less, but when you say it, say it. We never got the chance to say more than one sentence in the green room, but when we walked out and stood backstage, I knew that was my moment. I said to him, you had this line in your student film. Now, the student film was called The Answer. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen The Answer, but The Answer was in response to, oh man, what was the name of that first Hollywood KKK film?
Birth of a Nation. D.W.
Thank you. That one. The Answer was in response to Birth of a Nation. And so Spike, being who he is, right? He looked puzzled, and I said The Answer, and he looked puzzled, and I was going for that. And he said, what did you say? And I told him, I said, you did a line that was in that movie that caught my attention. And in the voice of the actor, it was a black and white film, I did that line. And the line went like this. I said, can you believe they sold out the box office? And he stepped back, right? He paused, he smiled, and he said, that was a great line, wasn't it? And right then and there, he said, I can't believe you did the research on that. More than 20 years, people have come up to me. No one's really come up to me and mentioned that particular film or that line from that moment. And from that moment, we clicked and connected. The story is, do your research on people so that you can actually insert yourself into a conversation in a different way. The second takeaway is that when you do that, you get their respect in another way. And so I did a ton of research, man, and met Spike, and that connected and took everything to a whole other level for us. From that point on, Donnie, you would have thought we were best friends. But honestly, everybody needs to go and check out The Answer. Go Google it, The Answer, and go check out this film. It's crazy.
We're so proud of you, Mario. Can't wait to see what's next. Whatever we can do to support you or help, we certainly will.
Man, I love all of y'all. Mr. Bob, it's a pleasure to see you as well. Donnie, it's always the truth, man. And look forward to this next book, man. When it's ready and it's printed, you got to hit me up so I can push it. I got to push it. Let me know so that we can get it out there and promote it for you, okay?
I Am Black Wall Street. You heard it right here.
That's the name of it? Donnie, that's smoke. I'm done. I'm out of here. That's smoke. We're gonna leave on that note. Hit me when that is ready for print. That is going to sell, brother. That is a powerful title at the right time. That is straight smoke.
I'm proud of you, Mario. Thank you for
proud of you too, Donnie. Proud of you too, my friend. Good to see you, brother. Take care. All right, y'all. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Good morning, BlackUSA.News.